Picture the handful of people outside of family that you deeply trust. Close your eyes, take your time. Who are your go-to people when you need advice? Think across your personal and professional circles. Now imagine yourself seated around a dining table with these people. Let's call them your trusted circle. Who are they? What do they look like? Think about their demographics: age, gender, race, sexual orientation. How do these traits compare with yours? Now think about the types of education they received, the jobs they hold, the neighborhoods they live in. What do you notice? If you're anything like the majority of people I work with, you've just described an inner circle that mirrors your own identity and privileges. As human beings, we like to cluster. Birds of a feather flock together, after all. These trusted circles are our safety nets, the people we respect, empathize with, and feel most comfortable around. In my work with organizations and leadership teams, I run a similar exercise to explore the diversity of leaders' networks. Amongst the seasoned executives and leaders, I observed a high degree of similarity between participants and their trusted circles. The participants themselves were often surprised by this, and some became defensive. I can't help it. How do you expect me to change? I soon realized that some of the most powerful members of our society trust people who look and think just like them. These bubbles that we live and work in are difficult to break, and there is a lack of opportunity to connect laterally across disciplines, generations, sectors. However, these bubbles that we subconsciously form have ripple effects over time. They restrict our ability to relate to, empathize with, and connect with those outside the trusted circle. And collectively, they blunt our ability to explore problems from multiple angles if we're all looking at them through a similar lens. In my work with the younger participants, I noticed the generational divide. The Gen Zs and Millennials do have greater diversity in their trusted circles, which translates into higher expectations from employers around diversity. If employers don't rise to meet these expectations, they risk employee disengagement. But the dangers run even deeper still. Over the next 10 minutes, I will take you on a journey to explain why we need to break out of our echo chambers, broaden our trusted circles, and introduce you to the magic of unlikely alliances. My name is Nishita Dewan Shea. I work at the intersection of the future of work and organizational design, which means I work with clients to redesign and reimagine organizations to align with the 21st century. I create the spaces and conditions for effective collaboration. Prior to this, I was part of the founding team scaling operations for Uber in London. In 2016, I decided to leave, to carve out a career path in alignment with my values and skills, placing collaboration at the heart of my work. Some now call me a connector. I guess I prefer to call myself a weaver. I weave trusted networks within and across organizations. Matthew Syed, in his book Rebel Ideas, discusses cognitive diversity, which is the diversity of perspective, mindsets, how we think and interpret information. He describes the 9/11 terrorist attacks as a catastrophic failure of the CIA, a result of the collective blind spots of the group. He explains that whilst the CIA only hired the best of the best, as a team, they were homogenous. They lacked the cultural perspective necessary to effectively interpret the messages that Osama bin Laden was sending out beforehand. The team saw a poor, primitive man sitting outside a cave reciting poetry. They did not see a serious threat. They missed the warning signs. It is dangerous for us to assume that teams are collectively intelligent just because they are made up of intelligent individuals. How can we reduce the blind spots and minimize the risks of groupthink in the teams that we are part of? Today, these echo chambers are inflated further, a result of social media and the internet, leading to further polarization in society. It's as though we live in these virtual gated communities, a result of the online information diets that we're being fed, leading to groupthink on steroids. These virtual gated communities restrict us from seeing the common threads, and instead, we see difference. I'm worried. I'm worried by the echo chambers that confine us, our collective blind spots as teams, and the multi-dimensional challenges in our world today and on the horizon. Something needs to change. Einstein once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." He was right. We need to urgently reimagine how we problem solve. And the good news is, it starts with you and me. We have the power to broaden our trusted circles, break out of our echo chambers, to extend our peripheral vision. And if we do that, we can begin to explore the intersections of our expertise. What really gives me hope is my research around what I like to call unlikely alliances. This is when two or more fields of expertise uncover a common thread, creating an opportunity for parallel learning. Here comes the magic. Fleur Oakes is one of London's most renowned lace makers. She has been embroidering since she was a child. In 2015, Fleur met with a vascular surgeon at the Art Workers Guild in London. Through conversation, they identified common ground. Can you guess what a lace maker and a vascular surgeon might have in common? Stitching. Fleur remembers their first conversation when they first met, and the vascular surgeon was describing to her how he would stitch an artery during surgery. To his complete surprise, Fleur perfectly replicated this on her first attempt using his silicone model. Let's unravel this further. A needle and thread are Fleur's primary tools to create lace, embroidery, and textile art. As a vascular surgeon, sutures are part of the day job. Since 2016, Fleur has been hired as an embroiderer in residence at the Imperial University's Vascular Surgery Unit. Here, she observes surgeries, identifies blind spots, and suggests improvements. For example, thread tangling was a common issue that Fleur had observed during the repeated surgeries she was watching. She designed a thread management course to help students navigate and avoid their thread getting tangled, to overcome this blind spot. Over the last 5 years, Fleur continues to help students significantly improve their manual dexterity and ability to think with their hands. Here's a second example. An unlikely alliance between a hospital and a Formula One team that is saving children's lives. In the early 2000s, a couple of doctors from Great Ormond Street Hospital, the Children's Hospital in London, were sitting having lunch in the hospital canteen. They were frustrated at the recent research that had been revealed, showing a high error rate when transferring critically ill patients, children, from the surgical operating theatre into the intensive care unit. Whilst having lunch, the surgeon's attention shifted to the TV screen in the corner that happened to be showing a Formula One race. By pure serendipity, they observed the moment the Ferrari team completed a pit stop in under 7 seconds. They observed the precision, the synchronization, and the coordination of teamwork and realized that this pit stop was analogous to their patient transfer process, transferring critically ill patients from the surgical operating theatre into the intensive care unit. Soon after, the doctors and their team flew over to Ferrari headquarters in Italy to learn more. Through this knowledge exchange, the doctors redesigned their entire handover protocol, leading to better coordinated teamwork. The result? A 20% improvement in patient safety, saving children's lives. Let's take a step back and explore the shared problem here. How can we design a handover process that optimizes for safety and efficiency? Given the success of this collaboration, how can we scale the learnings further? Could other hospitals benefit from this? What about all the hospitals around the world that are also transferring patients from surgical operating theatres into the intensive care unit? What about other fields, air traffic control? Potentially any other sector where switching shifts involves health and safety risks. The hard truth is that both of these unlikely alliances occurred due to chance. Our world is going through dramatic change. We are becoming increasingly interconnected and interdependent, and yet our ability to collaborate is not keeping pace. We no longer have the luxury of time to leave such collaborations down to chance. We must be proactive. Let's take COVID-19 as an example. As academics and scientists around the world were sharing data in the race for a vaccine, at the political level, there has been little cooperation, let alone collaboration. This lack of humility and willingness to learn from each other has resulted in unnecessary deaths. And now there is a global free-for-all for procuring a vaccine. What if politicians convened to learn from each other? What if there was a cross-border global coordination strategy to save all lives? Imagine if we all decided to step up, change our behaviours, and take responsibility. Imagine if we brought together men and women, young and old, artists and scientists, those at the top of the power pyramid with those at the base. Imagine if we valued learned experience alongside lived experience. Imagine a future where a diversity of voices convene around common problems to discuss, explore, and safely challenge each other. So how can you help to shape this new future? There is a new frontier of knowledge to be discovered. It sits at the intersection between disciplines. We need to think beyond our traditional approach to problem solving. We can bring together a diversity of perspectives around the problems so that we deeply understand them before jumping to solutions. Remember at the beginning, we spoke about trusted circles. Think about the people that you chose. If we reflect honestly, we often describe an inner circle that mirrors our own identity. So how can you help to uncover the magic of unlikely alliances? Here are 3 suggestions. Firstly, diversify your trusted circles. Get to know people who are different to you. Invite them to challenge your assumptions. Show empathy and find the common thread. Could you make space for 2 new conversations a month? Encourage your friends and children to do the same. Secondly, explore the parallel learnings. The next time you're faced with a challenge at work, think about who in another field may have experienced a similar challenge and proactively reach out to connect. Build your capacity to listen deeply to connect the dots. Could your organization benefit from the expertise of another field? And finally, create the spaces and conditions for effective collaboration. I'm not saying collaboration is easy, but perhaps you can find the weavers, those within your organization who have a breadth of empathy and relationships across disciplines, who are equipped to build bridges across the seas of difference. If they don't exist, hire them. What would life be like if your trusted circle did not mirror your own identity and you could benefit from a wider set of perspectives? What if your organization was connected to a diverse set of unlikely experts that you could collaborate with? What if we together could solve some of the world's most pressing problems through multidisciplinary collaboration? I hope I have highlighted to you the 3 essential tools in your toolkits: collaboration, diversity, and trusted networks. I'm on a quest to build more connected and future-proof organizations and systems. Join me in realizing the magic of unlikely alliances. Thank you.